Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
Hello and welcome to the Popternative podcast, the podcast and talk show where we have digital discussions from the worlds of TV, film, pop culture, news, music, lifestyle, sports, everything really. Depending on the guests, we talk about it all. As always, I'm your host, Peter Remoliotis. On social media, you know me as PD Beats. Returning guest on Popternative, you'll recognize my guest from a show called Nurses, which just debuted on NBC. Natasha Calis is back on Popternative. Natasha, welcome back to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me back again.
No problem. Yeah,
It was an honor.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always fun. We also did that Popternative IndieCon. We had people from Tiger King, Stargirls, crazy. It was a lot of fun.
That was so much fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the cat's out of the bag. I mean, this is Nurses, a Canadian show, was on Global, but we finally got picked up in the States. You're on NBC. What was that kind of like when you found out that it was getting picked up on NBC, Natasha?
Oh, it was crazy. We actually the five of us cast got a message from our producers, which is like pretty rare. So we were kind of, and the message read, "We need to talk. Can you all Zoom tomorrow?" Or like whatever it said. And we were all like, "Oh my God, like, did we get canceled? Did we what's happening?" We were all like terrified. We were messaging each other like, what do you think it could be? What do you think it could be? And then the next day rolls around and we're on Zoom and they're like, "So we have some news," and then we got picked up. So it was like definitely a pretty surreal moment, definitely really exciting. And yeah, it's just, I keep having to pinch myself.
I mean, I think talking to you, Tristan, and Jordan, like a few times, like on Instagram and stuff, I mean, I think there was kind of like speculation that at one point, the show was going to be picked up in the States, but now it's actually like a reality, which is really cool.
Yeah. We were hoping, like, we were all putting it out there, and it was definitely like the dream signing onto the show. Obviously, like, it being a Canadian show, it was super special to all of us because I think all of us are Canadian.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like a different world in the States, and NBC. We're so honored.
So it's one of those things too, because people, like a lot of people that follow you on social media know that like season 1 of Nurses is now being debuted on NBC.
Right.
But people see it on social media. I mean, you were picked up for a season 2 and you filmed that. So that's kind of that wrapped in everything. So,
yeah.
But people like we don't know when season 2 is coming. Now kind of the focus is on season 1. How is that like as kind of an actor and a storyteller where, like you did season 1, like right now, it's been quite a while ago where you guys filmed season 1. That's still like the focus right now. But then it's kind of like a waiting game for like the second season, but you're like focusing on the first season. Is that a bit strange or weird for you in the cast, do you think?
I think it's just part of the process.
Yeah.
Like it's exciting. I mean, obviously we just finished filming season 2, and so we all know what an incredible season it is, and all these amazing storylines that come into play, and like we have all of these things that we can't wait for people to see. But in the meantime, obviously season 1 is now just premiering in the States, so we kind of get to like relive that world and like all of those stories, and it's fun to interact with people who are just watching it for the first time, and this is like a newly introduced show to them, and so it's kind of fun living through them and then hearing all of their reactions, but then also knowing like what's going to happen in season 2. It's like exciting. Like I can't wait for everybody to see it.
Absolutely. Now your co-star and best friend, we could say, Tiara Scobie. I mean, like you guys just did an Instagram live, I think yesterday or a couple days ago. I mean,
yeah,
that was a good time. I remember you were kind of telling me that you were like, I want to do one with her, but I'm not sure if it's either going to be like the best thing ever or the most terrible thing ever.
Well, it's because it's just kind of like, it turns into just like a FaceTime call with us. And I'm so awkward, like on Instagram Live. I don't know what it is. It makes me so nervous. Like, I don't know. It's just like an uncomfortable thing where you're like,
it's a broadcast, like pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah. Because, and you, like, especially by yourself. So it helps that she's on it. But like, I would never, Like Instagram live stresses me out so much.
Well, when we did
I don't know why.
IndieCon, that was actually live, but we had a lot of people, so it wasn't that kind of a big deal. So we didn't really
Yeah.
have to like depend on like a one-on-one conversation.
Well, that's the thing. Or even this, like this is fine. We're just having a conversation. But as
Yeah.
soon as like you like start recording just me and then like a bunch of comments and a bunch of things, I'm like, oh, this is awkward. I don't know what to do.
I know
Don't know.
it's crazy. It's a crazy world. But I
Yeah.
believe you and Tiara met on Nurses,
We did, yeah.
and
yeah.
like you guys are best friends. I mean, that's a really cool thing. I don't think that people talk about that much. That you literally like meet people that will be in your life for the rest of your life, like through work, through TV shows, which is really cool.
Yeah, it's super cool. I mean, obviously, I've met like amazing people along the way in all of the years that I've been in this industry, but never have I made like an actual like lifelong best friend. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, it's definitely fun. We met during the chemistry read, like before we started filming, before either of us had actually got the roles. We were both being flown out to Toronto for the chemistry read to meet with all the producers and director and everybody. And yeah, I remember one day getting a follow from T Scobie one. I'm like, who's this? She's verified. I was like, whoa, she's verified. Like, holy. And then she like DMs me. She's like, hey, I'm reading for Grace. Like, I hear you're going out for Ashley. Do you want to come to my hotel room before? We were staying at the same hotel,
Yeah.
and we can read, and then we can like practice lines and go into the chemistry read with chemistry. And I'm like, this girl's genius. And then it was just kind of like we hit it off, and we've been best friends ever since.
I think I've asked you this before, but a lot of people on Nurses have worked on a lot of other amazing projects in the past. Are you kind of seeing, especially with the release of NBC, and like for example, there's a lot of people from the States that watch The Possession. There's a lot of people that watch Suits and Upload for Jordan. There's a lot of people that watch Riverdale. Are you kind of seeing a lot now of like like I recognize her from The Possession, NBC, cool, I'm gonna tune in? Like, have you noticed that a little bit at all?
A little bit, yeah, a little bit. I'm trying to attempt to live tweet the episodes, which again, I'm just like, I can't. I'm trying my best, but yeah. And then I'm getting a lot of like, hey, I didn't know that like you were in The Possession, or you were in this, and I'm like, yeah. 10, like 11 or however many years later, it's like I think it's pretty cool to see these people connect those dots, but also recognize me. That's also pretty impressive. Like I was a child, and now you're.
Well, there's some iconic stuff in that movie. Like that's a really good movie. And I remember like on the IndieCon, I remember like Saf and like Eric from Stargirl were like blown away of like you telling a story about like the moths, I think it was, like the bugs.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That they were all real.
insane.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Man, it's
So
pretty crazy. Does it blow your mind a little bit too about like how it just seems that there's like a nonstop stream of content? Like it doesn't like I feel like there's a new TV show or a new movie like every week. Like I feel like it's like nonstop. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. It's mind blowing. Also, the new like, what's it called? The new KJ Appa movie just came out.
Songbird.
Yeah, that's all about COVID.
Yes.
And I'm like, how like that's so crazy how fast that came out and
I
how
know.
fast that happened.
We
Like,
just did a contest on the Popternative's like Instagram, like win a copy of Songbird. Like we just did one with Elevation
oh really?
Pictures.
No,
Yeah.
no way.
No,
That's
it's
But
cool.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
mind-blowing
that's like a
how fast they
COVID
can,
movie.
like-
It's true.
It's a COVID movie, but like how fast they were able to put the script together, cast people, like movie making is a long process. So the
Oh,
fact
absolutely.
yeah, I was blown away when I saw that.
I always send you and like Umberly too. Shout out to Umberly. You don't see Umberly yet in season 1 of Nurses, but you will see her in season 2. Umberly Gonzalez.
Yeah.
I always send you guys like horror movie requests, but I feel like because I watch so many of them, I'm always like messaging you like, here's 5 more to watch. Here's 6 more. Did you watch Host? I think I told you about Host with like the Zoom
Host, I
call.
haven't. I have a confession. I haven't seen any of them, but it's only because I don't actually watch. Okay, I have to be honest. Okay, so when we were filming, you sent those. So obviously I didn't have any time.
Yeah.
And then I come home and I'm such a bookworm, like such a nerd when it comes to books, that I would rather sit down with a book than watch TV. So I actually don't watch a lot of TV or movies. Which is a little bit ironic considering my field. But
I remember you like being like, "Oh, I got a new TV. I'm excited to watch all these," and I was like, "Yeah." And then I
yeah,
apologize
this is my
then.
new
So
TV, and
I just kind of like
I use it as
assumed-
art. it's a frame TV from what's it called, Samsung. I don't even use it. I just use it as artwork.
So note to self when I like just continue to like add to your list of like 39 horror movies to watch. I shouldn't do that anymore.
I know, like one at a time. Let me start. Like, okay, I'll start with Host. Right? Is that your top recommendation?
Yeah, no, it's just because like it's kind of like that is kind of like a COVID movie because they're literally on like a Zoom call and they're doing a séance and like stuff goes south.
Okay.
And it's very
okay,
scary.
so it's pretty.
Yeah, but it literally is like a COVID movie.
Okay, cool.
Which is crazy. It's on Shudder, but it's like there's a lot of amazing things. Nurses on NBC. I mean, it's medical drama and everything, but this show obviously kind of focuses on nurses, and especially with everything going on with COVID and everything, these are like the real kind of heroes. How important is it for you and the cast and crew to be able to tell the stories of these amazing frontline workers that are just kind of working nonstop hours and putting in everything? I mean, it must be a really cool thing to kind of play nurses, especially with like everything going on in COVID and everything, Natasha.
Yeah, absolutely. Now more than ever, I think it was so important to tell these stories truthfully and honestly, and as well as we can. And I think it's really important that our show is now coming out amongst all of this, and people are now watching it. And I think it's about time that nurses get the kind of the spotlight that they deserve, just because I think all the other medical shows out there right now are basically just about the doctors and following the doctors around.
Yeah.
And they don't really touch on how important the nurses are, and how important of a role they play in a hospital. So I think it was a really great honor for us to be able to showcase these stories and this amazing job that is so much more than just medicine. It is so much more about like compassion and empathy and caring and being emotional, support for their patients as well as the medicine. So I can't wait for people to hopefully find a newfound respect like I did for the job and for nursing.
For sure. In terms of like shooting season 2, is it kind of like not really a blur, but like did it go by? Like it looks like it went by pretty quick, especially with like, or was it the opposite? Did it go by really slow because of all like the COVID protocols? Like what was that like shooting season 2? Because I remember that was kind of like you shot that in the summer, I believe.
Yeah, we started filming in March before COVID, then got shut down, and we all flew back home until July, and then we had to pick up right where we left off because we only finished an episode and a half, so we had to pick up that like last half of the episode, which was super crazy, putting yourself in the shoes that you were in 5 months ago, pre anything.
Yeah.
So it was really weird, kind of throwing yourself back in that mindset. And not to mention like kind of the new whole filming world and the environment on set, like filming during a pandemic. So there was so many new protocols, and we all had to, everybody had to wear PPE at all times, and we had to get COVID testing every other day. And there was also this weird pressure of like none of us could get sick. Like we couldn't even get a cold. Like, so the pressures of like staying healthy, staying safe, like it was a lot. So I wouldn't say it felt like it went by fast. It was pretty it was a pretty crazy and like emotionally tolling process, I think, just because in times like that you can feel so alone and it can feel so isolating.
100%.
Luckily, me and Tiara lived together. We were roommates all throughout season 2, so that was we're obviously really lucky to have each other. But yeah, it was a crazy experience for sure. I learned a lot and learned a lot about myself, I think, too, like mentally staying strong. So
no, for sure. I think I talked to Jordan about this too. I mean, like you said, you're on NBC right now, but Nurses is a Canadian show with Canadian actors, and it's one of those things where it's on NBC, it's medical drama, but like I hope people know, right? Like Canada, I'm just saying, and all of you have been doing so many. Yeah, I'm just saying, like.
Yeah, I think it's really special to us that this is actually a Canadian show with like all Canadians behind us and global TV, and we're all Canadians. And I think like, we take that and we hold that with a lot of pride.
Absolutely.
now that we're coming to America and it's fully Canadian, we're like, yes. And we're like, also on NBC, which is a huge network, and
Yeah, for sure.
and
But
we're
again,
holding our
though,
own
there's
and
like the
people are enjoying it.
familiarity. And I feel like there's some people that maybe don't even know, like, because they look at Tiara from Riverdale, they look at Jordan from
Right.
Upload and Suits, and they look at you at Possession. Some people might not even know that you guys are actually like Canadian, because a lot of those projects weren't like Canadian projects. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, which is so fun. I love
Yeah,
that.
I
Like,
love that. I love that too. Like when people come on my show, like they don't
yeah.
know I'm Canadian. Kind of feels good, to be honest with you.
Do people call you out on your Canadian accent?
Sometimes, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
I get that a lot. I say a way too
Oh,
much,
me too.
like an
Yeah.
embarrassing amount, where they're like, "Oh, there's the Canadian on set."
I have a lot of so during the COVID, like a lot of my episodes kind of blew up because I interviewed a lot of different people from like Outer Banks and all these big shows that just like got just flooded with like comments, and like people were just like calling me out a lot, but in a good way of like I say a lot, but I also there's like I say absolutely a lot, and I say like you know what I mean a lot, and I feel like people are just
Are
like,
those all Canadian like things?
I feel like you know what I mean is I feel like
You know
that
what I
definitely
mean?
I've heard of that. You know
I
what I
guess
mean?
so.
You know what I mean, eh? Like you know what I like.
Right. You know what I mean? You're
Absolutely,
you
I
play
feel like
hockey
it's just
too,
kind of
right?
like a general thing, but
You're a hockey player as well, right?
yes,
Or
I'm a
you're
hockey guy.
involved.
Absolutely, grew up in hockey.
So hockey players, like, they talk even more Canadian, like, I feel like.
I
Like,
remember, yeah, I remember talking to Natalie about this. Your friend Natalie Sharp.
yeah.
About
Yeah.
that too, where she like knows some hockey players and she's just like the words that they use all the
Oh my
time.
god. Yeah. Just like,
The same words over and over
different
again.
different language.
Yeah, I know, it's
Yeah.
crazy. Well,
But it also
Natasha,
feels very Canadian.
thank you
Yeah.
so much for coming back on the show. It's always a pleasure to catch up with you, and I really appreciate the support. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It was really good seeing you.
It was really good seeing you as well. So yeah, people can watch season 1 of Nurses right now on NBC in the States, which is exciting.
Very exciting.
Yeah, so they can watch it right
Monday
now.
nights.
Monday nights. And where can they follow you on social media to keep up to date with everything?
Just my name, Natasha Calis on Instagram and Twitter.
Amazing. Well, this has been Popternative. Be sure to check out Natasha in Nurses on NBC. Season 1 is on right now. Until next time, this is PD Beats and Natasha Calis signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.